Mr. Manager?
Here.
Chief of Police? Here. Solicitor?
Here.
Engineer? Foreman?
Here.
Reporters?
First Enterprise.
Fire Chief Officer and Code Enforcement is
Here.
okay. We'd like to review and approve the current agenda. Any discussion?
I think that.
The motion to accept,
Second.
a motion by Nelson, a second by Jay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, same sign. Okay. Presentation.
We have that as a thing, for the conversation on.
So keep,
Yes.
just move, okay. Citizen correspondence, personal appeals on agenda items only. Anybody on, would like to talk to us about anything on the agenda? Reports of committees? Should I just go?
I would honestly, normally we do the first three, then fire and police, and if anyone else has anything, give them a chance to say so.
Okay,
If Jim's not here, so there won't be a.
okay. Personnel, legal, finance, parks, recreation? Anybody?
Perhaps do anything that's.
I have nothing.
Okay. Emergency management, parks and buildings, fire, water, anybody? Okay,
I had something to add, can you hear me?
yes,
Okay, I had something to add, we had discussed, about, memorial for Scott. I guess this kind of falls under the Parks and Rec section, and discussed with Jay, we put the new bench uptown by the coffee shop. I'd like to open a discussion about maybe putting a placard or a memorial on that bench uptown, see if that was possible.
New bench uptown by the coffee. So the new benches that got put in uptown, recently were all already sponsored by
I see,
somebody.
okay.
So that, yeah, they were all paid for with,
Alright, yeah,
sponsored.
Jay and I had discussed it, and I wasn't sure if they were already, if that was already.
There
Okay,
may be
thank you.
there may be opportunities to do the same sort of bench in another spot somewhere in the greater downtown area, but the ones that are in already definitely have sponsors already.
Okay, very good, thank you, that's all.
okay. Reagan?
Everybody should have a copy of the monthly report for December. Only other real thing to report on right now is the officer train home absolutely cruised everything he needed done to actually get back to work. Last night, third shift is officially back out on shift after the calls.
Okay, cool. Okay, so business not ready for action. Little blessings from having daycare parking requests.
So we have this request from Cynthia Garcia, who is the owner and director of Little Blessings of Heaven. That's a daycare center, or child care center located at the rear annex building of what was Bower Memorial Church. They're having some issues with, and they recognize it's public parking, but they're asking if it's possible to clearly mark 2 spaces there as 50-minute parking, whether that's all the time or during times where they're open or something to allow those to be good, safe, convenient drop-off, pick-off spots for parents with kids. If we're gonna do that, we would need to do it by ordinance. If council is supportive of doing something like that, I would go out and measure and make sure that it's not a whole run of the street, it would just be 2-1, so, between Jack and myself, we would measure and make sure, sorry Jack, you didn't know that, but between Jack and myself, we would measure and make sure that we mark off the correct spaces for the ordinance, and that, if that's what council looks to happen, but
Is State Farm there too, they're on the insurance office?
they're the next ones up.
Right, like in that same
Yeah.
base there. So, I'm okay with the monitor, except I wouldn't want to designate just for the day.
They would, no, you couldn't designate just the daycare, they'd be 2 15-minute parking spaces, and whoever's there, I mean, and, you know, speaking frankly, at the end of the day, a 15-minute parking space is only as good as the enforcement.
Yeah.
So, take that for what it is. So, I mean, does anyone have any issues with me getting that drafted up for consideration to advertise?
No,
And State Farm customers,
Any?
so
or anybody who wants to park there for 15, as far as they wanna walk to get back in 15 minutes, I mean, they can park there.
I'd like to see it limited to the hours that they're open.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a conversation once and make sure, find out the exact hours they're open, because it's pointless to do it.
Yeah, because the residents might want to park there overnight.
Well, they can come out every 15 minutes, too, right? Kidding, Susan, don't write that.
Sentence behind it.
Okay. That's it for that.
Raj, on the ad request?
I did give out a little update on that, and as you can see, we have some representation from Baja here this evening as well. Council did say that if we wanted to have a conversation, that Baja is welcome to come to a future meeting, and they took up on that offer, and they're here. So I don't know how we wanna start this conversation. I don't know, maybe having Denny start would make most sense. Everyone okay with that?
Okay, thank you. Most of you know me, I'm Dennis Peters, the engineer for Berwick Area Joint Sewer Authority. I'm gonna approach and hand out a document we can discuss related to the plan and the capacity that exists and what our present needs are. All right, so why we are here is we're looking to discuss a possible land swap between the Borough of Berwick and Baja. And just to be completely upfront, we're not asking for it to happen right now. And I think we did talk to Davey a little bit, and we discussed it with Nelson and some of the authority members. So we're not looking for any kind of a transfer right now, but I do have some exhibits I'd like to show. And first couple are a little history of a number of property transfers that have happened between the Borough, Berwick, your garage, and the Baja area over the years. So in the oldest one is in 1996, okay? We prepared a plan that showed, and I can send you a summary of all this.
Sure.
Because it's hard, kind of hard to see here, but at the time, initially, the Berwick Area Joint Sewer Authority, or Berwick Municipal Authority, had owned all the land in the area, including 2 parcels that I'll discuss later, and also where the Borough garage is, and the treatment plant area. So that was in 96, and then after that, there was a land transfer, and this is how it presently exists. So here's the wastewater. Here's the wastewater treatment plant. See the cog rail line, Park Place is up above here. So as far as the treatment plant, sewage comes into the headworks, goes through the digesters, and eventually ends up in the aeration tanks on the west side, and then it goes through the final clarifiers, and then it goes into the chlorination system, and then out to the Susquehanna River. This plan shows this lot number 3 was transferred from the Borough to Baja, and this lot number 2 was transferred from Baja to the Borough of Berwick, this configuration. And then where the Borough garage is, that was transferred to the Borough. So there was a variety of land swaps back and forth. So as far as the treatment plant setup, I had sent a letter in December to, Baja. There was questions about what do we do if we wanna expand the plant. So there's really only two options. The main lines come in from the east along Cedar Cog rail line, they come in from the west along Cedar Cog rail line, go into the headworks building. The majority of the flow comes from the east. So I suggested one option we could do is put an equalization tank here to hold sewage, like up to 3 million gallons a day until it could be processed in the headworks building. But that option isn't the best because sewage has to come into the headworks, go to the equalization tank, which would be on this lot, and then come back into the plant. So it's kind of a reverse scenario. Present situation is everything flows into the headworks, through the digester, into the aeration tanks, and then into the final clarifier. So it's a process where it flows in this direction here, there, and then out into the river. So I took a look at the other option, and it's shown on this old map here. So if we look at the two aeration tanks and two clarifiers in this area, and we take a look at what we really need to do if we wanted to expand in the future is put 2 more aeration tanks in and 2 more clarifiers. So I took an area that is the same size as the parcel that Baja owns here, okay? And made a suggestion, why not transfer this property to the borough, okay? And in some point in the future, this is where the part of the recycling is taking place, transfer this to Baja if needed, okay? We never know if it's gonna be needed. But that's an identical land swap, this yellow area for this lot here. Same identical acreage. So what we discussed at Baja was that we would ask the borough to consider making an agreement that if we need this in the future, that Baja would acquire this from the borough would acquire that lot, and Baja would pay for whatever recycling costs are to move the recycling center, possibly up here or some other place on the test track area. So if you take a look at the little infomercial I sent here, presently the wastewater treatment plant is permitted for 3.28 million gallons per day. It has tertiary treatment, there's no issues, there's no violations of DEP, everything's worked properly. We are working on a new belt filter press, that's like ancient history, it's like 45 years old. We're also working on a new system to disinfect the sewage by putting in ultraviolet and getting rid of the chlorination system, which has had problems over the years with leaks, and it's a dangerous chemical. So we're working on both of those projects now, which we don't need any area for that's taken care of inside the plant. We're only treating 1.2 million gallons per day right now, which is a historical low, really, pretty low for the plant. We do have some commitments, and there's one on the list here, Mifflin Township, they're one of the authority members. They're still owed 81,025 gallons under the agreement. South Center has just come in, and there's some movement on a lot of development in that area, and they're asking for 660,000 gallons per day, which we just submitted an Act 537 for. I know there's a lot of discussion about the data centers, and as you can see, we're working on 2 data centers now. The data center not strapped for flow, we still have more flow. Authority Manager Gordon Babursky and I talked to Tom Randus in Williamsport, and we can probably increase the permit higher than 3.28 with the plant that we have now, so. The whole proposal is we're looking to the future, we're talking maybe 5 years, 10 years. You know, you're talking about 5 years to get a plant designed and up in operation. If you wanna expand, we don't need to expand right now, but that's why we're here to discuss.
Danny, do you need the whole piece of land to do what you need to do?
This yellow piece, it's,
I'm saying the whole recycling.
Whole
area.
recycling,
Do you
yeah.
need
No,
the
no.
whole thing?
no,
The
no,
yellow
just,
piece under the road, is any of that flood zone? I thought that a lot of beneath the road was flood.
no, it's right, the flood line goes right like through here.
In the yellow, are you sure?
Yeah, I don't think that's in the flood zone.
Like, do you mind if I just walk, it's not pulling my phone, I just wanna, before we talk to him, I wanna make sure, I could've sworn it's inside that loop was flood zone.
Danny, how many yards or feet is that coming into the recycling center?
The borough owns, 630.893 feet from here to there. What we're looking for is 230 feet.
So we still have 400 some feet.
Yeah, 400 some feet here. So this yellow area is identical to what we have in the aeration tanks and the, final clarifiers.
So my question then is it possible, and this question I think is for Jeff, is it possible to condense a recycling area that's 200 feet without a huge hardship?
And Jack, that basically takes up like the mulching area, right? That doesn't actually go over to where the dumpsters are with recycling.
Yeah,
County GIS
just
shows
that,
everything
that
that's
does basically our processing
Everything what?
area for our wood chips.
everything beneath, lower than the road as being flood zone.
Yeah.
County GIS is saying so even in that
I
yellow
know, but
section.
it isn't. We did a study here when we were gonna.
That's fine, I just wanna make sure that, I mean, because
No, I looked at that a number of times. We were gonna put 4 ball fields in here, and then we didn't, okay? Actually, the 100-year floodplain comes basically in this area, and then it swings up and kinda goes up to your inlet up there by your building. There's an inlet there, and yeah, up through, so it kinda goes like here, and then swings up into here. And then it goes back down, farther down, away from this road here.
I think the floodplain mapping has changed since 2011.
I'm going by what County GIS is showing right now. And listen, you're the engineer, I'm not, so I'm definitely not arguing with you. But I don't want you to think that you have the plan in place.
Yeah, I
and
don't wanna
have it.
comment on county GIS. We did the GIS mapping for the county for 16 years. Funding gave it up, it's such a nightmare.
Okay.
It's the bottom line.
So Jack, if you were to try to relocate your mulching. Oh, you can see it.
Oh,
Where's your X-ray visual?
You're speaking blind.
So if you were to relocate the mulching area and stage it over where they wanna swap the other parcel for, is that enough room for you to? Can that work?
Swapping what parcel?
Well, it wouldn't be anything we swapped, it would be a land, if we just partially shifted, it'd be a land that we already own. You would take the eastern half of our recycling center and move it west of.
So it splits it almost in half right now.
no, it's less.
The
This is,
recycling center-
proposal is less than half. This is 631 feet.
But I think some of
We
them,
need 230 to put two aeration tanks.
Now, is
in.
that corner the corner of our property? Or
The lab and control, or the lab and control building's right there, right in here.
to the left, you mean, right?
Yeah, the westernmost corner of that property is that.
That should be on.
Here's your property line.
That's the hedgerow basically between.
This is your hedgerow.
Yes.
So you got 400 feet that
Yeah.
we're not even,
Which-
we're not interested in. We really need just an area for
Which
2 more.
a portion of that is the easement for the pipe, that comes down from Park Place Village, so there's stormwater
Right,
there.
yeah.
And we're probably,
That's out in here.
yeah, I'm gonna guess that we're probably 200 feet, east of that corner. Right now is where our fence is, so our
Mhm.
actual active recycling center is much smaller than the 600.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that would cut it at about half.
So I get, can I stand up for just a second?
Yeah.
So I think what my question was, is if we relinquish that to them and they give us this, is that enough room for your?
This is identical swamp here. It's a little different configuration.
The shape is the problem.
Right, yeah, but as.
But you own this now, so.
Right.
That's totally across the road though.
Right.
And we're not moving into that space because we use that space for other
Mhm.
things.
And let me ask, is 230 feet, is that the minimum that you need? I mean,
Yeah.
you couldn't do it
That's what
with
we're,
200?
probably, we could, not less than that, though.
No, I thought
230.
if you could tell us what your
Yeah.
minimum is, and that.
Well,
that
with
gives us
230
a
is
good
what, 230 is what we're using here now. We can make these tanks narrower. 200 probably, maybe 180 minimum. See this, and the other thing, we are treating, we do have the ability really to treat 3.5 million gallons per day with what we have here now, okay? So, I mean, we have 1 million gallons after everything's committed, spare right now. We could possibly put one tank in and one firefighter instead of two, so. We need about 115 feet for each one, for each crane, it's called a crane, flow crane. 115 feet, 115 feet.
So then you said your proposed treatment after build outs are completed are 2.02 MGDs. Is that including the numbers listed above from the?
Yeah, that's everything now, plus everything that we have committed, or in negotiations.
With the size of the clarifiers, now what's the gallons per day the building process?
3.4 million gallons per day process. They're not.
Somebody mentioned about only one. So just.
So 1.7 million gallons per day.
So you're permitted for 3.28,
Right.
but you're saying that you could actually process 3.5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, when we had a discussion with Tom Randus, we had it was called, when you get over 50% committed, you have to have a conference. We had a conference and he basically said that we're not tied to the 3.28 number, permit number.
Okay.
As long as we, treat, everything's treated.
Right.
And the treatment process is working fine now. We have no issues with the treatment process.
Is there upgrades that you guys have made, recently that made that possible compared to maybe in the past?
Oh, yeah, we got rid of the tomato growing, greenhouses and put in treatment process there.
Good.
Yeah. The other thing we did, we shut down the centrifuge that's sitting there. That's our $1 million, I don't know, it doesn't work, never worked from day one. So we're relying on the belt filler press right now, which is about 45 years old. But we are working on putting a second one in, so that's gonna help. We just upgraded the digesters too. We had them all repiped. We had them all lined, so they're working fine. So the whole process is working good right now. We don't have any discharge issues with the ether.
So, just to be clear, man, what I'm hearing in these conversations, you just need a part of our recycling area. Just
Yes.
a part.
Yeah.
And, well, about a third, just.
About half.
About half of what we're actually using.
What we're actually doing.
Yeah.
Now, the land goes past the recycling center to the head trail.
And
So we don't utilize that.
But we could.
Well, that's where the stormwater pipe comes down.
There's a stormwater pipe in Park Place.
So you
Actually
could-
comes from
I
Front
think
Street.
we could make it work, it's just not quite as simple as you're saying.
No, I'm not saying it's simple, I'm saying that there seems to be the opportunity to make a deal here somehow. Because My concern originally when this was first brought up is we gotta find a home for our recycling now somewhere.
Mhm.
It doesn't sound like that's the case. Maybe we gotta find a home for our mulch pile.
Right. Question on the tanks you want to install. You've got them side by side.
That's how they are now.
Yeah. So if you install new ones, you'll be side by side,
Well-
and you put them end to end, and then you've got a narrower strip of land you need.
Well, they're as long as this is wide, so if you put them the other way, they're gonna be still in that area.
Still,
But, you know, this discussion we talked here tonight, we can put one in, okay? And we got another 1.7 million gallons, another tank right beside this one, and another, clarifier.
I'm assuming you would have to, it would all need to be fenced in, so we lose that section of the road too, right? Like you wouldn't work around the road space?
Well, we talked at Baja, we would do whatever has to be done, if it has to be relocated down here.
Just to
you know,
close.
Go here and go up,
Okay.
We'll do that.
Cause you
I
would wanna,
believe-
you would wanna fence in the facility, you wouldn't wanna have that out in the open.
No,
What are those
No.
tanks called again? What are those tanks referred to?
aeration tanks, okay? They put air into the system and the bugs eat the sewage. So, you know, so, but that's what happens.
The only other
And
question
then they go through the clarifiers, which pretty much almost makes it like drinking water after it goes through the chlorination system at the end. It's a high quality effluent.
The only thing I questioned when you were talking about the data center, right now you're only pumping 78,400 gallons per day. There's not that many buildings up there, like, that you take into consideration after they're done, how many buildings there may be, how much?
Yeah,
That,
I'm working on both of them.
Right, that's not the right now number, that's based on projecting.
No, there's no flow now.
oh, okay, so that's all predicted.
They're saying 2,800 gallons per day
Right.
per center,
There's
so
28
yeah, that's a projection.
There's
number.
28 data centers proposed.
Alright.
And the data center they're 300 feet by 800 feet. They basically have 30, 40 employees in them. They're not they're not what everybody's saying, 200, 300 people in one, there aren't that many.
That was, okay, yeah, the rest of it.
And that's pretty much, and that comes from Salem Township. And that's pretty much it. Okay, they're between, the power they need from PP&L and Moxie, the gas facility, that's about it. There's not gonna be a whole, well, there's no other area right by the plant or within the power line grid area that is really usable up there.
So all 28 data centers, that's Salem Township, that's not Briar Creek or South?
No,
So what happens if Briar Creek gets some? Or Nespec Township, where's that water go? Or,
I don't know where Nespec Township goes, there's no sewage over there. It's not coming here, they're not a member of the authority. Either Nespec Borough, Mifflin is.
Briar Creek sewer doesn't go out that far either, not even close.
Right.
It's Boundaryville.
We do it, one of these is a proposal in Mifflin. Mifflin Township's one data center.
They're already owed,
They're included in that.
that's what I'm saying, like, them adding a data center in Mifflin wouldn't actually make a difference, because they're still owed 81,000 gallons per day.
correct.
Right. And they have to make a decision on that, whether they want to allocate those EDUs to a data center. It isn't that much anyhow. It's only, they're talking 15,000 gallons per day. And probably less than that. It's for one data center, but, I think that number is really high compared to the other ones that we're working on in Salem. The domestic flow just isn't that high.
So, is Baja asking for the property swap to officially happen sooner than later, or are you asking for the property swap not to happen unless and until it's needed and we're just committing to doing it later? Or are you saying we'd swap now but still be allowed to keep using it until it's needed?
Any of those.
Any of those?
Any of them.
Well,
Yeah.
they're not asking for the property right now, but for an agreement that in the future, at some point, that, there would be a swath and they would take care of whatever recycling and road work and those kind of issues.
Danny, would it be favorable to us to stay with the 2 additional aeration tanks instead of just building one? If you're gonna build, you're just gonna build one, build them both, which you keep going down to kicking the can down the road, it's gonna cost you more, cost you more. Plus, I, as an operator, I always like to have an option of having a tank on the side, in case something happens. I mean, you gotta clean these tanks out once in a while.
Right.
So if you had the 2
Yeah, they're
tanks,
down.
and
They're
you
down
didn't,
certain-
you know, you had one on standby, you could switch the wastewater over to that tank, clean out the other tanks. You gotta have options. Don't paint yourself into a corner, that's all I'm asking.
Listen, if you could build 2 tanks at 230 feet that you originally asked for, I personally can, okay, good for you.
Well, that's what we're asking for.
Yeah.
So we don't need it now.
No,
It may never happen.
Maybe,
but it's good to have options.
Basically, we just wanna start planning to build a new plant. May never, ever happen, but we can't start planning to build a new plant without this step first. If we plan a new plant, put together and put the money into it, are we gonna be able to do it with property wise? That's it.
We could probably, get a higher permit for 2 million gallons more than what we have now, with what we have now without expanding. But
So what you're saying is, this whole conversation could all be for nothing until we're all long gone, but
that's probably, it could be.
by that point, we'll be evolved, and we won't actually use the toilet anymore, so it won't matter. Not you, Lori.
so can this discussion on
We
this?
can have, yeah, we can have another discussion on it, now that we see the area that you're asking
So
for.
I'll send a
We
little
can have
summary of everything,
Yeah, that's fine.
everything we talked about,
Yes, please.
okay?
Yes, that'd be fine.
Thank you, Ben.
Are there any outstanding questions that anybody has before any backs up this chart?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fast track usage requests.
You all got this here. It's, the go-kart ask.
Thanks, Betty.
Thanks, Denny.
I think that, I mean, there's a lot to this, and it's not a simple, it's definitely not a simple yes, I will tell you that much. If there's a willingness to at least maybe entertain looking into it as feasible, I would think it probably makes more sense to knock it down to, Parks and Rec to meet with Mr. Thielen and talk things through a little bit and see if we can finagle. But if the council as a whole is just saying, no way, no how, never, that's a waste of time, so.
Well, I think that would have to be a
That
conversation
would
that we have with
him. His idea is he would pay for it, and he would probably, he would then, when it's rolled out, charge a little bit of money for people to use it to make back what he invests into it. I don't know how many of you have had the opportunity to meet Mr. Thielen. He is a passionate man, a very excited man, and when he gets his mind around something, he really goes with it. So he is very excited about this.
As a member of Parks and Rec, I'm not gonna have another 2 members of the board.
Charge additional. Yes, becomes a vendor in our park.
And that's part of the,
Yeah,
yes,
there's a whole lot of,
there is, absolutely. You know, when he and I had that conversation, you know, him understanding that he would need to insure it, we had to make sure that our insurance company was good with the way that he was insuring, so that we're not liable, you know, there's a lot to it. It's not a simple, you know, roll them out and have fun. I wish that it was, but that's just not the world we live in anymore, unfortunately.
Just get some hay bales around the road down there and call it a day.
Could.
across the street.
You know, when I read that too, it reminded me of, remember those guys that came last year? They wanted
The
to
skate park.
Yeah. We never really worked that.
And the difference, I mean, with that one there, they started with the, hey, how can we install it? Then it turned into, how can you pay for us to install it? And it kind of faded away, and, man, it could be revived at some point, we'll see. I mean, the space where we talked about maybe is still there, but it absolutely was not in the budget. And quite frankly, paying money for this would not be in the budget either. I mean, you all can disagree with me and make it be in the budget, but I'm telling you, as of right now, it's the
Well,
below
if
budget.
you're making money out of it, 2 grants are on the window right there. I mean, there's no grant that you can,
Generally
that
speaking,
I'm aware of, that.
right.
Were we gonna go to the foundation and ask for some money for the project down?
Were we going to?
Yeah, thought we were talking about it.
We talked about that as a possibility for the skate park stuff, but it kind of fizzled and went away. I mean, it's there, it's always there as an option every year, but it wasn't the top priority for.
The only reason I asked is the grant round open now?
It is. So, yeah. Again, it could surface again, and the nice thing with that grant round is it's open every year, and they will always have things to ask for there, and that might be the option moving forward. Something like this theoretically could be independent. I mean, if there was a grant for the work on it, it would be the foundation, but I get the impression that he envisions this being something that he is funding. Now, sometimes that changes as you get deeper in the conversation, but it doesn't have to, I mean, the cards, I don't know how much those cards cost, I don't have a clue.
I understand, but how much it's gonna cost him to build it and fence it and insure it, then his conversation may change.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we give it to Parks and Rec and let them have the discussion. That works for me, that's what.
And that's what I told him that I mean, I told him it'd probably be either a straight up no, or a bounce it down to Parks and Rec and meet with him there and see, so I think that works.
Transfer the Jackson Mansion to the Historical Society.
So we talked about this previously, one of the things we were looking into was making sure that we were squared away from can somebody else claim the mansion if we transferred? There was something in place at one point, that if the borough ever were to not own it, that the heirs of Colonel Jackson could reclaim ownership. I went back through and found that we did back in 53, 52, early 50s.
52.
52, thank you. Pay the 3 heirs, each an equal share of $5,000 to clear that out of the title and have it free and clear. You know, we did talk about this before. The first thing is the roof. One way or another, we have to pay to fix the roof. Whether that's for us to maintain ownership or for us to then give them the mansion. They're not gonna take ownership of the mansion with a hundreds of thousands of dollars roof repair needed. And quite frankly, I wouldn't if I were them either. They don't have to. So from there, it turns into a conversation of, you know, do we want to maintain ownership? And at some point down the line, there will be a new roof level project. There will be a variety of small maintenance projects. There will be grass and snow and goodness only knows what else as far as exterior maintenance that we keep paying for. Or we can, you know, transfer ownership, give them the money that we have budgeted for roof repair, tell them with that amount of money that it's up to them to then go ahead and get that roof repaired, and they can use whatever vendor they would like to do that, and be done. There are a few side pieces with that. Jim had previously said that if we wanted, you know, in summer concerts there, that they would want us to continue lawn and snow maintenance. We do have an alternate location for those concerts if council's willing to move forward with that. There's the 4th of July celebration. Jim has said that they would be open to putting something memorialized in writing that we continue having the 4th of July celebration there indefinitely. Assuming that's what council wants to do, I do think it's a nice location for it. It certainly wouldn't be, you know, the death of our 4th of July celebration if we ever had to move it, but it is a nice spot for it there. But yeah, I mean, general, it comes down to, do we want to continue to own the mansion? Or are we comfortable with the historical society being the stewards of it moving forward officially?
I think if we move ownership to this historical society, that should they disband or not be able to maintain it, it should revert back to Berwick.
Yeah, I agree, Jerry.
And I mean, I can't imagine why they would have any issue with that. I mean, if they're serious, which I believe they are, about preserving Berwick's history, I would have to assume that the last thing they would want the active members now would want to see happen is that it, turn into a private residence and not be, I think that is probably a very fair ask. I can't imagine why they would have an issue with that.
And are we allowed to give them
We would probably sell it.
budget money to fix it?
I mean, at that point, it would be similar to what we did to a number of different nonprofits. I mean, we granted.
Well, and it's actually, I mean, if you think about it, it's better for them to get a roof repair than us.
The transfer.
Nonsense.
The warranty transfer.
That's why, I mean,
Yeah,
What about a warranty transfer too? Anywhere to put the roof on.
yeah, that's true. Okay, as long as it's legal. Frank's being quiet, so I'm assuming it's legal.
is
It's illegal.
it legal or illegal? There's an extra syllable in there. Legal. It's illegal.
I think we should go ahead with, starting the process of transferring it.
With a reversionary provision.
Yeah.
So if we give that to them and we move the concerts to another location, and that location doesn't work out well, to make complaints of
We
this
could
or that.
still, if we wanna do the snow removal in the grass, we can still.
We would get that, and we would need to get that in writing, that we could, have the right to come back in exchange for some use, or re-picking up snow and grass, but I know Jack would love to see how.
But the idea was we wanna try the other location
Right,
this year.
but if it doesn't work,
Yeah.
but why do we have to, if we're only doing summer concert series, why do we have to do snow removal? So when we do that,
I get what you're saying.
I think it's because that's what they're asking for. We don't have to do it, everything's negotiable, but that's what they're asking for.
We don't pay them to use the property because it's our property, but we use their electricity and they don't charge us. The concerts, they're plugging into the mansion's power,
And there have been some,
other things we do, they're plugged into the mansion's power.
there have been some incidents over the years that have caused some relatively minor boo-boos that they've squared away. But, yeah.
If the other location this year we try it and everybody loves it, it's fantastic, so that's just close to now, cover your bases.
right, just have something put in there, something to fall back to if it doesn't work out.
Were they ready?
I believe that they are ready to, they definitely want to see that roof get done as soon, early spring if possible, so, I mean, if that's the case, then I think we should probably keep working on documents, draft it up, and make it legally happen on who their solicitor is. Is it both? Okay.
So if we have money set aside, the price that they get comes in above, are we just giving them what set aside?
So we should, before we agree to any number, we should have the amount, something from, Kirk and Ladder. He was hoping to have that by last week. It was 430,429 and change, about a year ago. We have $500,000 directly budgeted. We have an additional $63,000 available of insurance money for that storm that came through a year and a half ago. So there is funds designated for that roof. It would require about a 35% increase if they go above the number that we have available. If that happens, then we start having conversations as far as, are there scale back options? Or there aren't, but if you wanna see this happen, you gotta come up with a little bit, but I don't think we're gonna run into that. It would.
Start the conversation.
Yeah. I should be doing that very soon, get that ball really rolling with Jim.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay, item 9, approval of ordinances and resolutions. Resolution 2026-009, 2601, authorizing the submission of an application for Walkworks Active Transportation Planning Funding.
Are there questions on this?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
A motion by Bob, second by Ray. All those in favor? Opposed, same sign. Did I need anything for that? You didn't have one? So, the consent agenda. Consider and take action to approve all the items on the consent agenda as follows. And there are
There's 40 of them.
We should vote individually.
Again, no take backs, you gotta do it now, Jay, sorry, live and learn.
Is there anything that anybody wants removed?
You sure didn't miss one, Damien?
Am I? No, but at some point, I could come back with a couple if we realize there's a few invoices that just somehow slipped through, but I think
So is there
they
a
should wrap it.
is there a motion to accept the items on the consent agenda? Okay, a motion by Nelson and a second. By Tom. All in favor, say aye. And approve, say aye. Yeah, twice I can do it. New business, consider and take action to approve the request of retired police officer Brandon Schultz to be granted possession of his service weapon. Any discussion?
I just have something. In the past, we didn't have a problem with the retiring for retirement, not retiring and go and get a job the following week. I just wanna make that known, like, it's kind of shitty the way he retired and got a job right away.
Yes.
I think we're opening the door for anybody that believes are forced to get to
Well,
a certain area.
If he, in fact, retired, he did retire.
They retired by definition, what is considered is a deferred pension. So this is the type of thing, I mean, this would be the 4 firearm that we've been just talking about in the last 6 months. The other 3 individuals really did retire from municipal law enforcement. They're not, 2 of which fully retired, not police officers anymore. So 1 is now in agent working for the state, not utilizing that firearm. I mean, it is a different circumstance, but at the time, I did tell him, hey, because he asked for it, I said I would put it to council.
So the guy working for the state, we didn't know that?
Yes.
I just wanna
I get it.
put it out there like,
I get it.
well,
So then, Jay, are you saying that if they don't
I'm
want to
saying-
work for another agency, then they would not?
I'm saying if we did it for the last guy, he would have to work somewhere else.
I don't know, so, I just know it was less than a week he was there, he was already fully outfitted with a firearm and, tag.
It was kind of the worst kept secret that was happening.
Yeah.
We knew the whole time that was potential,
this weapon that we're talking about is older, and it's
Oh,
not the
I
value
would-
of it to.
No, I wouldn't say it was older, it's actually one of the newer firearms that we have, but the holster wear on it and either how he was wearing it, there's a fair amount of wear and damage to the frame itself, where especially as we're hiring new officers and bringing people on, I wouldn't feel the best about even issuing it to somebody. It would be a trade. We'd be trading it in for somebody else, for a new firearm for a new officer coming in, trading value maybe $200.
So I think we've asked you before, in different situations, about whether you're comfortable with doing this or doing that. Are you comfortable? I know I'm putting
I
you on
can
the
very,
spot.
I can very easily see both sides of it. To be perfectly transparent, all the others I felt very comfortable with, even in the circumstance of Officer Monero going to the state. He's retired from municipal law enforcement. It is the kind of thing of, hey, from your service here, it just goes on the wall. It is a different circumstance than when you're moving to a neighboring jurisdiction, but at the same time, he did serve here for many years, so it is the type of thing that it still could be the same thing like that. That is his Berwick police weapon too. So again, I can very much see both sides of this.
I don't want to hear that.
Yours is-
Brandon gotta be close to 20.
17 or 18?
So, Teresa said that there's a speaker quality issue, but she's asking if we can offer him to purchase it for the trade-in value.
Which is not big next to nothing.
Well, that would be entirely up to you guys, if that's what.
I'm just sharing that that's what.
Do that.
I make a motion, we do it like we have in the past, but I just wanna express my feelings towards
So
the way he did it, but.
Maybe we go ahead and do it, Tom, and then we come up with a policy.
That's a good
That's
idea.
who's the, you know,
Right, I mean, he put 17, 18 years in
Yeah.
here, like, that's
Yeah.
good police service, but
Yeah.
it's just,
well, let's come up after this, let's come up with a policy.
So I have a
that says
motion
here's-
by
here's what
Tom.
we're doing.
We have a motion by Tom,
I'll second.
and a second by Jay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, same sign. So, item passes. Do we have any added items?
No.
Any citizen correspondence, personal appeals, or non-agenda items? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. I have a motion by Jay to adjourn and a second by Mr. Leonard. All in favor? Sorry. We are adjourned.
Teresa? I'll let you go, okay?
Bye, team.
They were on the second row.
That'll be it for the meeting.